Hello there everyone, this is Jeff Perkins with File Magic Cutlery. Today I am going to do an old school knife review. This is the Blackjack Folding Momba 1 with a stiletto blade. These knives were the top of the line in the day. Looking back, in 1987, they started producing this, and they ran through right about 1993 when the company had a problem and went under. I think it's 1993 that they went under. It might be a little bit later than that. This knife here takes me back quite a ways. Being a kid, doing the gun shows with my dad, he had a gun business. I started at a young age doing the custom file work on knives, and the standard Blackjack Momba was one of my favorites for doing file work on. These knives, back in the late 80s, were pretty much the top of the line when it came to folding knives that were production knives. The quality was just unparalleled with anything else that was out there, especially for the size and the feel of the knives. To give you a little information, this one is bigger than the standard Momba. Overall length on this thing is 9 1/4 inches, so it's a big knife. Blade length is 4 1/16. Handle length with it closed is 5 1/8. It is a stainless steel blade. It does not specify what type of stainless it is. If you see here, it's Blackjack Knives, has their emblem. Flip it over, we've got the Momba in Japan. It is a stiletto type blade with a false edge at the top. Very thick, heavy quality knife. You can see the heavy stainless steel scales with the silver liner in there, going all the way back and through. It does have a black material insert. I'm not sure, I think it's some type of black synthetic material. It's not G10. I thought originally it was ebony, but the more I look at it, I really don't think it's ebony. So I've got to do a little research on that. This particular version is not one that I ever did file work on because, as you can see, the pins are heading really nicely in the stainless steel. So for me to take one apart, you've got to pop the pin that's right about here. You're going to have another pin here and here holding the back of the lock in to take it all apart. So this particular version I had never done file work on. These things are just as solid as they get. Detent, I mean, that sucker closes like crazy. And listen to the lockup on this. I mean, the click on that is about as crisp as you're going to get. These things locked up so solid, so tight. I mean, there is just no movement there. And that's saying something. This is quite a bit older knife. You can see how tight the blade matches that lock. I mean, it is precise. This thing is a very, very nicely produced, high quality folder. Back in that time period, I probably would have figured this as a tactical folder with a stiletto blade. It is a handful of knife. I mean, I've got good size hands, and this fills them very easily. So it's a very big knife, fits nicely. Of course, no pocket clips. Back at that time period, they weren't really carrying the pocket clips. The knives didn't have them on it. This one doesn't have a lanyard. The other standard Momba does typically have a lanyard on it. Looking down in, you can see that lock is all mirror polished. Very high quality. The only issue this one has is the thumb stud's turning a little bit, so I'm going to have to tighten that up. Other than that, this thing is in great condition. I've owned this knife for about 12 years now. I picked it up off of eBay 12 years ago. My wife saw it. She knew how much I love these, how many of the different versions I had as a kid, and the fact that I never actually owned this one was a big deal. And she picked it up off eBay for me for about $200. You don't see this version out there very frequently. You do still see some of the standard Mombas. You can pick those up every once in a while. I've picked one up and am in the process. I started the file work on this one a couple years ago. I haven't had the time to get her finished. Just to give you an idea, this is what the standard Momba look like. Again, your Blackjack going there, Momba Japan. It's got that nice blade with the choil up at the top. This one has been all broken down. Let's see if I can get that to unlock here. So when you get these apart, your lock is in 2 different pieces. This one I've already done the file work on. It is going to be a stunner once I finish her up and get it all back together. That gives you an idea of the pattern that I've done into it. Okay, in the back, all across the back bar as well, even down in. So when you look down inside this knife, you'll have some nice file work on the inside as well. It'll show up really nicely. Originally, I had planned on doing the wood with a nice little stone insert. I am going to go ahead and pull this off of here. I think what would make this a much more fantastic piece when it's all done is going with some mammoth tooth. So I'm going to go ahead and pull these off, put the mammoth tooth on there, get her back together. When it locks up every bit as tight and crisp as this one here. I mean, you don't get a better click than that. Again, these things are fantastic. Piece of my past, without a doubt. This version had the rubber handles. I had done the stag handled versions. I owned the imitation tortoise, the ram's horn, the pearl handles. I had owned all of the different versions, had done file work on many of them, and really takes me back to the days. I started doing file work when I was about 8. I was doing all the gun shows with my dad, and I had met a fantastic knife maker by the name of Joe Kunth. He's out of Rockford, Illinois, and he had seen me. I had bought one of his custom knives, and he was working there at the table one day doing file work right there at the show. Showed me how to do it, and I took off with it from there. I've done file work for many different people. The majority of the knives I did were the Blackjacks. Actually, I wouldn't say the majority. That's probably the second big knife that I did a ton of. But the Hubertus switchblades. I used to do a lot of work for a number of different people that they'd send me 6 and 7 knives at a time. I'd do the file work up. Originally, I wasn't doing handles. I'd send it back. They'd put cool handles on them. When I moved out to Utah, I started doing some work for Sun Valley Knives. I did a lot of Hubertus Boker switchblades, a lot of the Buck switchblades as well. Was doing the file work on them and then swapping handles out, putting pearl in, putting stag in. All kinds of different stuff to dress them up and that type of thing. So as soon as I get the time, I'll jump back in on this one. This one is going to turn out beautifully when I've got it all done. I have no doubt. Just a matter of time, finding the time to do it. So I'll kind of take it from there. That's just a little bit on my past. I've been playing in the knife business for quite a long time. Again, these blackjacks just have a very sentimental place in my heart, and they're well worth it. They're one of the best old school folders that I've had, and I would highly recommend, if you can come across one, go ahead and pick it up. The one thing I will caution you on is Blackjack. The new owner of the company is making them in China. Do not buy the China version. Blackjack Momba looks just like this one, has a black handle, but the quality is so inferior it's not even funny. I think the knife sells for about 20 bucks. I picked up one for 15. I meant to bring it on the video, but it wasn't even worth digging out. It's just nowhere near the quality. So if you can find a vintage late 80s, early 90s blackjack that's stamped with the Japan, Momba Japan on the blade, that is the way to go. And you can't go wrong. They're fantastic. I would expect to pay anywhere from $150 to $200 for the standard. No idea how much this one's going for right now. I haven't seen one out there for sale in quite a while. Well, thank you for tuning in for the review, and I'll see you on the next one.